why is it that we're getting less integral if we
Yeah.
look into academia and higher education?
And I'll just give a little preliminary, and then we'll come back to it. Shambhala Publications, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. Shambhala was founded by a good friend of mine, Sam Burkholz, who actually was instrumental in founding the California Institute of Integral Studies. When Chaudhuri came over here, Sam was sort of his right-hand boy. Sam was like 17 years old at the time, but was very instrumental in helping that get started. When he met Trungpa, Trungpa wanted to publish a book called Meditation in Action, and there wasn't a publisher that would do it, so Sam founded a little publication called Shambhala Publication. That's probably the most successful independent publisher in the world, and has done really extraordinarily well. And at the beginning, there was an enormous amount of interdisciplinary books that would be published. And Sam and I actually, a forerunner to both Revision and Integral Institute, was an imprint series that Sam and I started called New Science Library. And we published a lot of books in there that were trying to make these connections between East and West and ancient and modern and so on. But we were 30 years ahead of our time. And most of the stuff that was coming in was just pretty flatland stuff and it's not very sophisticated. But there was an enormous interest in it. And now, with the exception of really one or two authors in Shambhala, and I'm one of them, it's narrow niche marketing. In other words, just the Mahayana Buddhists buy the Mahayana Buddhist books. They're not interested in Hinduism anymore, or Taoism anymore, or contemplative Christianity anymore. It's just narrowed down. And that's my preface to what's happening in academia. And there are several reasons in academia. I'm not sure that it probably was unfair to, in a sense, say that it's becoming that way. I think it's just sort of always been that way to a certain extent. And some of them are functional reasons. It's very hard to master any discipline. So, doing integral studies is almost very, very hard. So one of the things that I hope, if I've been able to contribute anything, was I just sort of locked myself up in a room for 30 years and came and to try to at least hit a dozen disciplines, with enough familiarity that I wouldn't totally embarrass myself. And then come up with a framework that then specialists in those disciplines could go and use and say, yes, this looks like it's working for us, and so on. But that's a very, very rare thing to have happen. And so mostly people need tenure, and they hunker down, and they pick one narrow field, and it's sometimes absolutely staggering, though, how little they know about what else is going on. Sometimes people right next door to them, or their professors, colleagues right across the hall. And so on the one hand, it can drive you crazy. On the other hand, it's understandable. You know why it can happen. Human beings have to just kind of do that. But what we're trying to do, basically, because we have access to stuff like computers, because there is at least a couple of integral frameworks out there, is do just what we're doing here. Get people in disciplines that know 100 times more than I do about that particular discipline. But they can take the framework and they can go, you know what, this is close enough. This will work. And they can start filling in all of the little things that there's no way I could ever possibly do it, and so on. So that's why, from here on in, it's a collaborative effort. And so that's why I have people in medicine and in law and in business theory and so on doing that kind of thing. So the hope, of course, is that we can get into academia. I don't want to replace that other stuff. We're always going to need brain specialists and heart specialists and microbiologists. But the sad thing for students getting educated is that they're getting taught, if they're taking one of these disciplines, that all the others are irrelevant. And so a student is asked to fracture their soul into 100 pieces, eradicate 99 of those pieces, and then congratulate themselves on getting a diploma. That's education in today's world. As Abraham Maslow said, this begins to look like sickness. So we don't want to stop specialization. We just want those students who have a tendency and a talent and a capacity to make connections and to build bridges between things that were previously thought to be separate. We just want a little place where we can play. We don't want to get marginalized, pushed out, oppressed, or any of that kind of stuff. So I'll settle for just us being able to have several universities or a department of integral studies or something. And a department that's not just simply for people that aren't smart enough to specialize in something else. That's not going to happen to us. So we want people that are super, super, super smart and can apply the framework in ways that are impressive. And so far that's happening. So that's what we want to do. If we can do that, then I think we're going to get a foothold in it. Just yesterday we had our first 4-credit online course through the Pennsylvania System of Higher Education. Pennsylvania State System itself has okayed and created a Center for Integral Studies. It's already been signed off on. There's now an official Center for Integral Studies at Pennsylvania State System. And they are short-tracking a department. Now, once we get a Department of Integral Studies, that means not only can we offer a master's and a doctorate in integral studies, we can sub-specialize. We can offer a master's and a doctorate in integral psychology. That's what it'll be called, not integral studies, integral psychology. We're going through Health and Human Services. They put out 1,000 nurses a year. From now on, they're going to be integrally informed nurses. So this is astonishing. And if we can just get a little bit of that done, then that's fine. And we're going to partner then with places like Harvard Graduate School of Education. We're working with Bob Keegan and others there. We're partnering with USC, and we're partnering with UCLA, the Astons there that created Women's Studies Department. We're going to partner with Notre Dame and so on. So we can form those kinds of alliances where we can actually get some of this stuff done. And then I don't mind if the specialists are out there being specialists, as long as somebody knows what the hell these different rooms are talking about and can make some sort of bridges between them. Because otherwise it's just a prescription for absolute balkanization of human knowledge. And that's utter disaster.